Cameron Honesty's breaking down some Texas A&M football for us. Of course, we're about halfway through camp, and the opener is August 31st, and it's a big one against Notre Dame and Kyle Field. And you can catch Cameron's work at Aggies Wire. Please subscribe here at the Voice of College Football and like the video. Get that out of the way. And you mentioned the dominance of the defensive front that, for as good as it's been, might be at its peak this year, might be better than previous editions. And the offensive line, which has been good in the past, was not good this past season. Sometimes coaches resort to, in that type of situation, having to help out one unit so the other unit can just operate and the quarterback can stay, upright and actually complete some passes. I don't know if that's going on in camp, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
So again, and I knew we were going to get this, probably good to kind of end with this, is that, the offensive line, it's a wild card, but again, we've been talking about this for, feel like the last 6 months of what they need to do to improve. First of all, that was getting a new O-line coach and bringing in Adam Cushing, who has a very good, people keep mentioning his very poor head coaching career. That does not matter when you're coaching position groups. So this is somebody who has developed guys at Northwestern, Duke, obviously sending Graham Barton to the NFL as a first-round pick with his last 2 seasons at Duke. He's a developmental coach. He knew the roster overall. This is a offensive line roster that has a ton of size. These are all blue chip recruits, a lot of them. They have them in droves. And so it's not like they were lacking any talent. They were lacking, and as I said previously, fundamentals. These guys were blocking air sometimes. They just didn't know where to go. And so finally that's getting fixed in camp. And credit to Mike Elko. He's been very honest with how this group is kind of panning out, how he never said, and coaches have done this over the past, that they've done pressers. They want to, get the fans excited. They kind of say, well, everybody's doing well. They're doing better. They're doing better. And I think someone asked, I forget who asked the question of, well, how's the O-line progressing? Well, it's you hope it's a strength. And he was right. You hope it's a strength. You hope, because it does happen every year. Sometimes O-lines just magically get better and the blocking gets better. The pass protection gets much better. And like you said, guys have time to throw. Your offense finally just, gets more consistent and productive and la. But at the same time, A&M last year, we talked about, oh man, no, the O-line should be much improved just because of talent alone. Well, it happened to be coaching. Steve Adazio, who obviously lost his position. I don't know what went on there. It could have just been a mess overall with Jimbo Fisher's coaching tactics and everything. But you get the feel that this isn't going to be an elite unit, but it's going to be a good to very good unit. And it starts with moving Chase Basantis back to guard where he's supposed to be. During his freshman year, he's thrown in the fire at right tackle because Reuben Fatherly, who I don't know if a lot of people remember it, was one of the better right tackles, held Will Anderson pretty much the entire game from getting in the backfield against Alabama during the 21 season. He's finally returning after injury issues, so he should solidify that bookend spot. Moving Basantis back to most likely right guard. This is a kid who I think he's about 6'6", 320 right now, has been making waves this summer of how strong he is. I think he was squatting over 600 pounds for 3 or 4 reps. And when you're that strong and you have good hands and you're very athletic, go to guard, because that's where your NFL potential is. And that's how he can help this team the most. But the biggest position that's been garnering a lot of attention this during camp is at center. And so Bryce Foster is gone. So Bryce Foster is now gone to Kansas. The era of him, being on and off and, being an all SEC player to being one of the worst offensive linemen is finally over. We wish him the best. He's a very talented guy. It's just, when you think about, Connor Weigman's injury last season, for example, it was just pass rush coming up the middle, pressure coming up the middle. I mean, the middle of the offensive line, the interior just broke down during any type of basic, twist and stunt. And that just cannot happen, especially in the SEC. So knowing that Foster was a liability, Mike Elko actually cut him from the team earlier this season and knew that, look, we're going to have a pure competition there. So sophomore Mark Naboo, who played I think he started 3 or 4 games at center last season. He's the front runner right now, but also Utah transfer Coley. I cannot pronounce it. Fananu, I believe. He was a starter for Utah, I believe, for eight games last season. He's a guy who's been pretty consistent at center. But another name that's now come up, out of nowhere has been Cam Dewberry, who is usually playing, he's a rotational guard, specifically left guard, but he's trying to take a shot at the center position. So that's a spot where, we're paying a lot of attention to how it's going every day. We haven't gotten a lot of updates. Probably, I think, for the next 2 weeks, you're really going to know, okay, who's the guy who's really taking strides. My money's on Naboo right now. That's just a consistent name. That's somebody who you can trust in the middle. But on the left side, I think that's the strength of this team is Trey Zune, who's returning at left tackle. He was their best O-lineman overall. This is a guy with NFL potential going in the next draft. And Amaj Reed Adams, who from Kansas, was I believe a 3 or 4 year starter at Kansas, one of the best run blockers in the country. I think he's probably solidifying that left guard spot. So I think they're much safer going in. They know who they have. They know who they can count on. It's just the center position is going to keep working itself out, and hoping that Ruben Fatherly can stay healthy at right tackle. But I believe Basantis' move to guard is going to be huge for the run game and the pass game.